10 years ago, what is going through your mind prior to engaging in this business where you're able to help so many people with the beginning, the middle, and the end of their lives? Who are you at that point?
At that point, I was actually a whole other person. I was in the fitness industry prior to this industry that I'm in right now. And I was still in a service mentality because at that time I was just helping people reach their physical goals, losing weight, getting in shape for that summer vacation, getting ready for that wedding, right? Dropping all those pounds after the new year started.
So
which people
physical goals.
Physical goals.
Not the fiscal goals.
Not the fiscal goals, right. And then at some point I decided there's got to be more that I can do overall, not just for people that I meet with, but then also for myself. I was looking for something beyond a job. I was looking for something more of a business. I had an entrepreneurial spirit that was just dying to come out, but I didn't have the right platform to do it. And I didn't feel that where I was at that time was going to feed that animal that was dying to go out there and hunt and get into the jungle and really dominate, right? So the financial services industry is where I ended up going.
That's so. But prior to the fitness industry, who were you before that?
Even further back?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So I was, I think, a confused young person, like most. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do.
Welcome to the club.
right. I think still figuring out because we're always students. So grew up in Jersey in a town called Roselle Park, middle income family. Both of my family, my parents came from another country, so I'm a first generation born Ecuadorian American immigrant, American here in this country, and I grew up learning another language, having another culture, right? And went through high school. After high school, decided still wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I went into just general business management at Keene University up in Union County.
Did your parents speak Ecuadorian at home?
Yes.
And that was your. Are you able to speak it today?
Yeah, fluent Spanish. Read it and write it.
That's powerful.
It is.
Do you believe that has that cultural, view of a different culture? Do you believe that's helped you service your clients today in some capacity, or open up a humility that many haven't? Like, I've never learned a different language.
Sure. I think the humility aspect is definitely a part of it. Also, the other part is that it just opened another market, because when in a setting of a business, if somebody has a language barrier and somebody in my office can't handle that client because of the language barrier, guess who they call in?
Yes.
Right? Now, it opens another door, so it's another skill set that's so valuable to me because of the fact that I can cross that bridge in language. And language is just another way to build trust and rapport, right? And it's a little bit harder if we can't understand each other, if that makes sense. So growing up, learning a second language is very valuable for me. When I graduated high school, I went to school, I got to college, and then I ended up joining the Marine Corps. I enlisted in the Marine Corps.
Was that a thought when you're 14? I'm going to be a Marine. What was do you remember the time you're like, I'm gonna serve this country and put my life on the line? I mean, thank you for your service.
I appreciate that.
I never could have the courage.
Right. I think as a little kid, there's always that fantasy of being the guy. Yeah, and I think I remember once I dug through my mother's old albums, and I found a picture of myself with a hard hat helmet and M16. I was like 7 years old.
I want to give you credit because I really wanted to own laundromats.
Really?
That was the thing.
That would have been a better business to be in versus the Marine Corps. I would say that.
Well, so what was one of the biggest lessons you learned from the Marine Corps?
Oh, God. The biggest lesson, I would say, is accountability. Flat out accountability. And accountability for everything. As in that book, Extreme Ownership.
Oh, Jocko Willett.
Right. Same concept. That concept that I have to own everything and what I've done, what I do, how I interact with people. And I mean, for example, if right now we go into this office space and the sink is just covered with water.
Wait, you mean WeWork?
At WeWork. If we go into the office, into the bathroom right now, and the bathroom is just, the sink is just wet and crazy, what's stopping you from grabbing, hitting that paper towel dispenser and just wiping things down, leaving it a little bit better than when you walked in?
Like responsibility,
like having initiative. Those are the things that the idea of it's not my job, so I don't do that. No, that's BS. It is your job. It's all our jobs.
Is that what you learned in the military? Like one of many things?
One of many things.
So prior to that engagement with that level of training, would you say that you would have walked by and not cleaned the water?
I would say, yeah, absolutely. I lacked the discipline on being able to be just a productive human being and saying, I know it's not my job, but I'm going to do that anyway because it's just the right thing to do.
So how old are you when you joined the military? How does that work? What does that look like?
18 years old, signed up, right out of high school, shipped out to boot camp, and it's an amazing. I tell you what.
Was that the Buds?
No, that's Navy SEALs. But what we go through as a Marines is Paris Island, South Carolina. It's recruit training, 13 weeks of it. And then after that, some more training afterwards. But the initial one is that big transformation change where 13 weeks, you're just having this complete institutionalized level culture change. It is a culture
like
shock,
a stripping
by the way.
away and a building
big
up.
time. Mom and dad aren't there. No, you're completely accountable, and the level of stress they're going to put you under is tremendous because we need to prepare you for war. That's basically what's happening there. So imagine an 18-year-old kid leaving home and all of a sudden have these mountain-sized drill instructors screaming at you, barking orders at you, and making sure that when they have you try to complete a task, you have to do it over and over again because it's never right. But the idea is that they want you to follow orders, they want you to know that you're part of a team, and they want you to do it under an amazing amount of stress. That's the idea.
Did you want to quit?
There was a point when I wanted to quit. Sure.
Why didn't you?
Why didn't I? Well, because I found out there was a commitment here. There was a commitment here, and I said I knew that the end result of me completing recruit training was going to be 10 times more fulfilling than quitting. Because what happens, I've seen guys in my platoon quit. And the sad part is we would go through the phases of training, and those guys that would quit will be separated from our platoon into a different platoon, and we would see them in other areas. As we're progressing in our phases and getting closer to graduation, they're still there waiting for the administration process to get through so they can get out. And we're looking, I remember, I never forget, I saw one guy, we're at the chow hall, right? And he's on that side of the chow line, I'm on that side of the chow line. I'm like, oh my God, this guy quit like 3 weeks ago. We're like almost halfway through this thing, and he's still waiting to get out. Meanwhile, he could have just stuck with it and been halfway through.
Is that a big lesson?
Yeah, it was a big lesson. And the look he gave me, there was just this look of embarrassment and shame when he looked at me. I looked at him, I nodded. He looked at me, he nodded, because he was in my unit. I knew exactly who he was. And it was sad. I said, you know what? There is no way I'm going to be that guy. There is no way, because he's regretting every single moment, looking at all our faces, moving on to the next phase while he's stuck.
Would you say that made you a better leader for your clients in the business that you're in, the financial service business, helping people?
Absolutely. Because what I've got before, and if I can quote somebody, Ed Milet, who has a great quote that he always talks about, is that service is beneath you, then leadership is beyond you. So
wow.
So as an advisor, my job is to serve my clients. I'm not looking to serve a company. Well, that's why in terms of how I run my practice, I'm an independent advisor. I'm product agnostic. Right? I don't have an emotional or financial tie to any particular company. My dedication and my commitment is to my clients' best interest. And so I want to serve them. And if I serve them, I become a leader. I become a leader, then that means that they're going to see me as an influencer in their home. And then what happens then? Then they'll be able to bring me over to some of their friends and family so I can continue that process of serving them as well.
It's like they're the American people.
Yes.
And you're still in that war.
Still
against
only
the
average. It's against the average. Against a poverty mindset and a mindset of limitation of saying, I'm not sure I'm going to make it to retirement. I'm not sure if I can get to my kids to college. And my answer is, yes, you can. Let's just put some discipline in place. Let's put some plans in place so we can get you to fulfill those obligations, to fulfill those goals, right? But we could do it together, and we're going to grow together. Just like when I was in personal training.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have somebody that says, I want to do 100 push-ups. They go, great, let's just do it today. No. Let's start with 5. Let's look at your form. Let's see how many inches off the floor you are right now, and then go from there. Right? And we're going to train you over time to build this tolerance because, look, putting money away from the future, it's a discipline like anything else. It's like eating right. It's a discipline daily, but you're not going to just go 0 carb day 1 and day 2. By day 3, guess what you're doing? You're eating 3 pizzas and a box of donuts to make up for the past 3 days, right? Yeah. Same thing here. Same thing. I think people look at it such as a big obstacle to overcome that because it's so much to do, they go, you know what? I might as well just put my head in the sand, forget about it, let the chips fall where they may, and if I get there, I get there.
I think it was Albert Einstein. He said the power of one of the ninth wonder of the world is like compound interest or something, or is that the 10th wonder?
Yeah,
the point is,
it's a wonder.
He was saying it was this compounded interest.
Sure.
Now, did you have that begin with the end in mind, long-term thought process prior to fitness? Was it developed in fitness? Did it help fitness? When did you develop?
I think that was developed through fitness. I would say, because as coming out of high school at 18, 19 years old, you don't have enough life experience to know what long-term looks like. You just started your life. And even now, I think that some of the if anything, people would like to bring up this whole idea of millennials. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that the only challenge that what a millennial would have would be patience. Because me growing up, I'm born in 1880, so there's my age. I'm born in 1880. Growing up, I had to write a letter, send a letter to a friend, and wait for that letter to come back in the mail.
Really?
Right? Yeah, it's called a letter. Right?
Hold on.
Right?
Someone call someone.
When I wanted to go online, I would have to actually hook up to a modem and wait for this dial-up thing to happen, and I might have to walk away for half an hour to wait to get connected to the internet.
Yeah.
Now everything is way instant, and so I know what it's like to wait. But then again, I have a younger brother who's 25 years old, and I love him, by the way, to death. But he didn't have to experience that, which is I think also the challenge that a millennial will have today. Is like it's kind of easier right now. I can order something today from Amazon. Tomorrow it's at my house. I remember I would order something from a magazine, and I would wait 4 to 6 weeks for delivery. Right?
So like philosophically, the possibility of the fact that things are so quick could create that wanting of something quick is a thought. But you feel like having to wait as a young man for things has developed patience in you.
Exactly.
Has that patience paid off dividends in your business to be able to serve your clients for the last 9+ years?
Sure it has, because now I'm seeing the dividends that are paying off now. But look at this is now going up. I can see the horizon of my 10th year in this industry. And if years 1 and 2, I was getting frustrated just like anybody else. If anything, I catch myself still becoming impatient. And just because I'm not a younger person, although I am young, I still find myself that I'm impatient too. But I keep reminding myself of saying, wait a minute, this is part of the process. This is going to take time. And when it takes time, it's a compounding effect. You start seeing the numbers increase and climb, and that's where the change starts to happen. But it does take that patience of putting in the work in.
How long were you involved in the actual, one-on-one serving in the fitness community? Because you were extremely fit, and you're around a lot of people that are they're very focused in that. That's a whole other. But how long were you involved in that, and then when was the switch?
That was about right after high school. I would say close to about 10 years of my life. It was in some capacity of working with people and getting them in shape, or on a management level, managing a location, a fitness facility. Because
it's almost like coming full circle. So helping people with their physical goals,
right?
And that 10 years of experience, and then the 10 years of experience helping people with their fiscal goals,
right?
Having that foundation of actually investing time and serving, the country and those character traits. Now, I'm curious. Was there a time where you thought that you could potentially go long term with a military career? The paths changed.
I thought about that when I first got into the Marine Corps. There is a level of motivation that's just unsurpassed. But then over time, you start, it's kind of like the honeymoon phase. And then after a while, you start realizing, okay, can I see myself in this type of structure for the next 20 or 25 years? The reason that I feel that things started to change while I was serving is that I've started seeing also more opportunities where I could be in that I felt would be more beneficial for me and being to excel.
Like for your personal
career,
goals,
my personal
personality.
Goals, right? For example, I'm just saying is that no person ever gets into the military and says, I want to be in the military because I want to become a millionaire. That's not really how it works. Nobody becomes a millionaire serving our country. Although it's an amazing amount of value and valor
for that,
and having that position in serving our country, but in terms of having fiscal goals, eventually if anything, I've met some millionaires who were previously military, but they realized too, so in order for me to get what I want to go to, it's not going to happen here. God bless this, but I can't.
So tell it takes probably a tremendous amount of pressure to drive to a fiscal goal like that. Why go through all that effort?
Because the end result is so worth it. I mean, if people were to say right now that the epidemic in this country is obesity, we'll say, for example, which it is. Obesity, unhealthy eating habits, that's a very big problem because it leads to so many other issues. And we know that,
yeah,
right?
Of course.
But I feel that retirement and being fiscally responsible, thinking ahead about your future in terms of finances, that's an upcoming epidemic too. Because people just keep ignoring the pain of saving, because as we've heard before, there's two types of pain, right? There's the pain of discipline, which weighs ounces, or there's a pain of regret that weighs tons. And so sometimes people are just willing to deal with the pain of discipline because they're going to push off the regret later.
Now, why, for someone that hasn't heard that quote, why would the discipline weigh less than the regret?
Because the regret is once you get to a certain point in your life where you said, okay, I'm looking to move on to a point in my life where I'm not working anymore for money. I'm actually going to be living my years and maybe following a certain cause. Yeah. That's what retirement really is. You don't just stop, hang out in your living room and watch Family Feud all day. That's not how it works. You're going to be doing things. You're going to be going out and maybe doing missionary work or volunteering for a nonprofit. All the thing that happens at that point is your mission changes, right? Mm-hmm. But in order for you to have altruism, you need to have capitalism too. So if you really want to have that vision of having another life after you've handed in your key card or handed in your badge and gun because your job is over, then you better have the finances to be able to support that lifestyle. So the regret's going to be if you don't have the finances to support that lifestyle, unfortunately, you cannot turn back the clock. The clock ran out. Time is a liar. Time is a liar. Time is the biggest seducer, whispering, saying, "I'm on your side." It's really not. It's constantly moving forward, whether you like it or not. So you need to keep up with it. That's why carrying the discipline of being somewhat of a strategical saver today, over time, using compounding, you'll benefit from those rewards.
We've seen tremendous compound interest in just interviewing and collaborating and turning out. It's just people start taking notice to things, and it's pretty powerful. So all of that effort and energy in serving your clients over the last 9+ years, how did this all these tremendous leadership opportunities start coming to your plate, and what has that been like? Because the president of a massive chapter, there's many counties, right? I haven't memorized every county. What are some of what is one of these leadership opportunities? I know one is NAREP.
NAREP. Right, so we'll touch on that.
Yeah.
So the leadership opportunity came up because of the fact that I was serving. So I saw a chance to be able to get on the advisory board for that chapter, another chapter actually, and I started serving, working with the chapter, helping out with events, registering people, posting things on social media to promote their events, things like that, showing up to their board meetings, showing up to their national conventions, showing them that, look, I'm committed to this cause as well. As I kept doing that, the higher level leaders would go, who was this guy Darwin? Yeah, he's always around, and he's obviously looks like he's a leader. So they already had known that I previously currently do a leadership position with a local county chamber, and they said, why don't we use that skill set here with our group, NAREP? And that's where it started. And to kind of let you, the timeline of it was very fast. I became a member of NAREP in April of 2017. Fast forward November 2018, I'm launching a chapter as president.
Wow.
How does that happen within a year and 6 months, basically, that a person, by the way, who's a non-realtor ends up getting to the leadership position like that? Leadership happened so quickly. And it happened so quickly because I adopted that philosophy of serving. Serving, and then it led to leadership.
Why would you be crazy enough to do that?
It's another job, I know.
It is, a year and a half is a long time.
Right.
To do give. I know because I've done that.
Right.
And then, yes, not being a realtor because you're the financial advisory and service business and knowledge of that, which is a tremendous value, if that's not normally done, then the odds, I would think, would go even lower. So, like, not a long time involved, and that. Did you think that this would occur? Or have this...
I didn't.
Okay, so that even makes... Why do it then?
Well, so first I was surprised that it happened. I was surprised that it happened. I welcomed it.
Oh.
Why? Because in my heart, I was praying for more influence. I was praying for my territory to expand. Right?
Okay, so were you afraid?
Absolutely, I was afraid because I had no idea what I was doing. No idea. This is my first year with NAREP, with this Association of Realtors, and this is not my first jump into being a president of a chapter of an organization I barely know.
Where did the courage come from?
I think the courage came from me knowing that this is what I asked for internally. I asked for this. And sometimes we ask for a certain opportunity, and it may not come in the shape or form you expect it. So all of a sudden it comes in this form. Yeah. And I stop and I say, this is the one, right? Okay. And then I said, yes, let's do it. I'm in. With working with the fear alongside of it.
Some of the success that's come for everyone involved in this association since you joined it, what are some of these results? Because I know you guys have been doing a lot. You have an upcoming event about in and around social media, and that's going to add a tremendous amount of value to people because not a lot of people understand it. No. So how has that been? Because it's been about a year that you've been leading this?
Right. Since last November was when we launched our chapters. This is my first calendar.
What's the chapter like? There's how many members, or is there growth? Like, what does that look like?
So we have a board of directors. Okay. We also have an advisory board.
Okay.
And the chapter as of right now has 100 members as a chapter.
That's a lot of people.
I would say it's a lot of people, but we have a lot more to go. I would say the goal by the end of this year is to triple that number.
Wow.
That's the goal.
Is it life experience, or has it been mentorship to open up such a big goal, big, hairy, audacious goal, a big vision? It seems like a big vision. A lot of people might aim too low and hit.
Right.
Where does that come from? Is it mentorship? Is it your life experiences?
I say it's the mentorship as well, because the mentorship within the organization was tremendous.
Within
NAREP. Other leaders that have had amazing, phenomenal success were speaking to me on a weekly basis and saying, you can do this. Let me show you how I did this. Let me show you what I did. Let me show you. And so, as you can tell, other leaders were actually coming out and offering mentorship.
So
they were serving me. That is the culture. That is the culture.
To mentor, to mentee, and therefore...
Sure, the culture of a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. That's the culture there. Because now what do we have? Two. If we blacked out this whole room, we blacked out this entire building, and one person, and everybody had candles, but we had just one lit. Could we light up the entire building?
Yeah.
If we just shared that candle one by one? Absolutely we could. Same thing here.
You make me want to open a candle shop.
We should have to open a candle shop. CM Candles.
Yes. No, I mean, it's powerful because... I think we were talking about this earlier, myself and Riley on the team. It's you give, and if someone's closed, I do believe that a lot of the people that in my life that I gave, that took, there's givers and takers, and the givers that give to the takers have always led me to a giver. So I gave, and they were open.
Right.
So if the taker was closed and nothing led of it, and I might have felt used, I didn't let that energy hold me down. I just kept lighting with the candle. Maybe that candle wick didn't work, but there was another one. So I just had that philosophy. Mm-hmm. Was there now? Certain, many traumatic things have occurred in my life for me to let go of the outcome. Anything in particular? Or maybe it was a mentor that gave you such a mindset of serving regardless of the outcome.
It was again, going back to the military, but also my mother. My mother's a big influence. Sure, she is a big giver to the point where if somebody's going through a problem, if she finds out that somebody that she kind of knows is going through some issue, she'll start crying. She internalizes a lot of the emotion of others. But that's because she's such a generous and amazing human being that other people's pain affects her. right?
Wow.
It does. But I grew up like that. I grew up seeing her be such a giver.
Like empathy.
Always empathetic, extremely empathetic, to the point where it may even affect her to that point. But I learned through that also, be empathetic, but also reserve some strength for yourself, because it's like the oxygen mask coming down on an airplane losing altitude. You got to put it on yourself first to help another person. Same idea here. If I run out of oxygen, if I can't swim, but I have such empathy for you, and you jump in a river, and I mean, you know what? Oh my God, Jay, I love you. I can't let you drown. Jump in, and you're like, can you swim too? I go, no, but I'm here with you, brother. We're both dead. Yeah, I got to be able to swim, right? I got to be able to swim so I can help get you out, and then we can go. We can both live together.
So swimming, I think of like a metaphor of almost competency, education, learning things. You're big into personal development. Is that correct? Absolutely. What does personal development mean to you?
Ooh, personal development means that you are putting on the armor every day. Because you're going to be attacked. We're all attacked every day. And typically it's not from a physical person or thing. It might be your own thoughts that are attacking you, right?
Wow.
So we need to combat that, because the battlefield is the mind. So we need to combat that and be prepared every day for that. Not just the people from the outside, but the person within. So developing myself every day, listening to the right YouTube videos. And now especially, this came to me, which I hate to admit, but this epiphany came to me recently as to why am I not developing myself more and more every day with regards to content that I listen to, when we have now the information age where there's no excuse. You could literally go on YouTube, click the word motivation, and you could stay on YouTube for about a year and watch a video every hour on the hour and still not run out of content. Lifetime. It could be a lifetime. You literally have a lifetime of knowledge right on your phone.
When did that happen? When did that light bulb go on?
I would say about a year ago.
So when I guess the penultimate is, we all know common sense, but is it common? So when did you take action on that? Was it a year?
Yeah, about a year ago.
And okay, so for people watching because a lot, it seems like you've accomplished in a year in all your business, your life, everything, leadership. What were some of the activities then that you did? Was it YouTube? Was it Audible? What was it? Reading? When was it?
Up until that point, I was taught that you should be reading, and reading is tremendously important. I want to be clear.
Yeah.
You should be reading, right? But when you get to a point where your life is so fast-paced,
like
on the go, and hey, you might have a family. 3 kids that all have soccer practice and dance rehearsal and band practice. And I get it. Life has a lot of its own stuff you got to deal with. But we can manage our time wisely if we just leverage technology a little more. So maybe reading a book may not be part of your schedule that you could really fit half hour of quiet time, just you. However, if we're spending time in a car, you can listen to something. Right? However, you're about to go to sleep before you go to bed, you can watch something on your phone, because I know we all do. We're guilty of it. You're laying in bed and you're scrolling through your Instagram, scrolling through your Facebook, and click, and like, and that's how you fall asleep. Right?
Yeah.
Instead of saying, hey, you know what? Instead of me doing that, why don't I just plug in my headphones, listen to some motivational, watch something motivational before I go to bed, so that now I'm programming my conscious while I'm sleeping to continue that wave. So when I wake up in the morning, I'm refreshed, I'm energized. Maybe even in the morning do the same thing. Why not?
So did you start doing that heavily in a year ago?
Yes.
What were you listening to? What did that look like?
It was everybody that Ed Milet, the old school guys too. Tony Robbins, Les Brown. And again, YouTube just gives you just a menu of it. It just keeps going. If you let it go on autoplay, it'll just keep running.
Let's say for people that say, well, why bother? What's your answer to that?
Well,
what are results that you got, right? Show me how that effective.
Right, exactly.
How does it? I have my opinion. We're on the same team there, but
no, I say, look, if you're looking to be, if you want to attract more, then you have to be attractive. So I find that people have told me, and I'm very humble when I hear this, that they say, Darwin, you're pretty good at communicating. You're pretty good. You're good communicator. Some people said you're a great communicator. You do well on stage and speak to people, right? And I said that took time. I said, believe me, if you met me 10 years ago, that wasn't necessarily me.
So were you shocked? Like, could you have done this 10 years ago?
Probably not. I wasn't prepared for it because my mind wasn't sharpened enough with the right kind of content, the language, the mentorship. Because, by the way, we don't need a physical mentor to be calling us every week. Your mentor could be whoever. It could, because right now you could be mentored by Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. Why? You can listen to a recording of Napoleon Hill right now and hear him talking about his book. Or Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world.
I have a mentor in that bag. How do you fit in there?
Exactly.
Bertrand Russell fit in there.
There you go.
There's always a book.
And even previous, Maya Angelou, whoever. I mean, we can go back as history.
But prior to that, was it a part of your, like when the fitness community, when you're involved in the fitness community, did you have mentors in real life and audios, books? Like Arnold Schwarzenegger had that giant, workout book.
The Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding.
Bam.
Right.
Like, were you involved? The personal training community is a pretty big personal development community. Mm-hmm. Was that the beginning of that bug, or was it even before that?
Actually, it was during.
That's when I got involved in it.
Yeah, it started to set the seed later. At the beginning, truthfully, no. When I was 21, 22, 23, I was only being mentored by others that were 21, 22, and 23. All I wanted to do was just work out, get big as possible, get ripped as possible, and get ready to go to the Jersey Shore.
Yeah, I competed. That's it. Every year at Tiki Bar.
There you go, Tiki Bar, right. Or at DJ's at Belmar.
Surf Club.
Surf Club.
I was, this is funny.
Sundays,
I interviewed Chris Zimmerman, who founded Violate the Dress Code. We both know him. Shout out to Chris. Right. And apparently someone told him or one of his partners, "Oh, I remember that. I saw that guy interview you. I remember him from like Surf Club." I'm like, who said that? I mean, it's amazing how much change when you make those decisions. You just got my memory lane right now. Right. Okay, so in the last year, would you say that you spend an hour a day doing that, 30 minutes? Like, what is it? If someone's watching this and they want to make a change, maybe we were both fitness freaks at one point, only. Right. And now it's business. It's a different livelihood. What does it take to make that change?
It's small steps on a daily basis to build up the tolerance and discipline to get to the point where it becomes a habit, right? So there's the old rule that if you do something for 30 days, it becomes a habit.
Wait, 30 is of thought?
30 is a thought? Could be, right? I know of a good book coming out.
Someone said,
I feel that someone should look into
I don't know, this is about, you got me.
Keep looking for it. 30 Days of Thoughts coming out. 30 days, right? And I think that number was not my mistake.
Have you always followed that? No, it's just someone smarter than me said that. Have you always followed that when you're going to build a new habit?
Yes, I follow it, but I also try to follow it to the letter because, by the way, you may fall off, and that's okay. The other thing I also want to say to somebody, if you start on this 30-day habit, let's say challenge, right? Everything's a challenge. Yeah. Ice bucket challenge, the freeze challenge, right? The mannequin challenge. All right, here's the challenge. The 10 years ago challenge recently. Show us a picture of you 10 years ago.
Did you see mine? That was fun.
That was great. So, okay, take a 30-day change habit challenge. But the point is, if around day 11 you fall off, it's okay. Pick it back up. It's all right.
Yeah, what is that about?
The point is, I think people are also saying, well, I didn't do the challenge, so I lost. No, you didn't lose. If anything, you started. Congratulations. Finish it. It's okay. If you fell off for a week and say, oh, man, I feel so stupid. Obviously, the challenge wasn't for me. No, it wasn't the challenge. It was you. But you can restart. Who gave you the rule that, hey, if you don't continue this challenge every day for 30 days, you can't do it anymore. You're not allowed. Who said that? Nobody. Keep going.
So I hear glass half full and commit.
Yeah.
Positive mental attitude and commit. The positive mental attitude, commitment, I'm like, it seems like your service to our country has been a big part of like learning commitment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Positive mental attitude. Where would you say that came from?
From the personal development. From the personal development consistently. And that comes from all forms, whether it be having the right associations, the right people that you're associating around. Yeah. Like I know a person that I met through NAREP that mentioned that if you're the smartest, you need to be the dumbest and brokest person in the room.
Really?
You should be. Because that means the people around you should be smarter and wealthier than you. And if they are, that's the right room you want to be in. And if it's reverse, that's the problem. If you're the smartest and wealthiest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
So that's the mindset.
You're not growing.
And it's okay. So that's that's the point of that.
You're not growing.
To be growing.
To be growing.
When do you stop growing? Maybe I just want to take a break.
You don't. You could, yeah. I mean, hey, breaks are fine. And by the way, we all need breaks, I think, from time to time. I'm not saying that every time you get in your car, you're going to listen to some kind of motivational audio every single time. No, by all means, turn on the radio, listen to Cardi B. It's fine, okay?
You know her kid's culture. That's a name.
Oh, really?
Kid with a K.
Wow. I don't know.
Good choice, Cardi B.
Very good choice, Cardi B. So, it's okay because we're human. Music is therapeutic. It's beautiful, right? If anything, music gets you in a good mood, right? If you're in there singing the song, you're in that's a great state of mind to be in. That's okay.
So back in the retro days, because we both were at retro at one point and doing the training management leadership there, I drove to retro every morning. I'm 21. I'm yelling, I feel great. I feel great. It was like 5 a.m. yelling in the car. I remember that.
Yeah.
And then, now that did stop eventually, and maybe it shouldn't have, but how do you prep yourself for a positive mental attitude in the sense of, are there any exercises that you do in particular?
Mm-hmm. Recently, I just now I didn't have much of a ritual in the morning outside of listening to something in the morning, and also, by the way, outside of getting on my knees and saying a prayer, at least for 60 seconds of prayer, and just stopping and being thankful, opening up my day with gratitude, thanking my Lord and Savior, and saying, you know what, today I thank you for everything that you've given me, and as a matter of fact, anything that's coming my way, the good or the bad, I praise you for that too.
Every morning.
Every morning.
Give thanks.
Give thanks every morning. And by the way, try to give thanks throughout the day, because just the beginning of the morning doesn't end.
So that's a ritual.
That's a ritual. Now, which was amazingly enough, Tony Robbins has been around for so long. I'm looking to do some of his rituals that he does every morning with these breathing exercises, which I haven't done. But I'm trying to incorporate that.
Well, I know a guy that jumps in the water. I follow on Facebook. Maybe I'll connect
Maybe
you guys.
You should. Yeah.
I don't think he likes him that much, so I'll just tag you on his video. I won't open the chat.
That would be great. That would be great.
Because there's what Anthony Robbins does in the Dave Destiny movie. It was like, I'm not your guru. It looks like he jumps in ice cold water,
right,
and then breathes too after that. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty good for a lot of people. Have you tried it yet? The jumping in the water?
Not yet.
So maybe we'll do a video on that.
I think maybe we should. That'll be the ice jumping challenge.
What I'm really curious about, NAREP 2 in particular, how does an individual join that organization? What does that look like?
And I'm glad that you asked that, because I want to clarify some things that are maybe just misconceptions about the organization. So yes, I'll repeat the name of the organization, the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. However, you do not have to be Hispanic to be a member of the organization. Number one. Number two.
So anyone can join.
Anyone can join. And number two, you don't have to be a realtor to belong to the organization either. Those are two big things that I make clear to anybody, because the organization is...
what's the history of the...
Well, it started in 2001. It's been around for now 18 years, not going in. Have currently 33,000 members, 107 chapters across the country, and those chapters will most likely double the next year to 2 years. So the organization is growing overall. But their mission is to promote and to provide and promote sustainable Hispanic home ownership in the country by developing a more professional, developed realtor. Because if we can have realtors out there that are developed professionally more and more each day, then that means they're going to service their community that much better, so they can empower them.
Almost to create alignment in the conversation of both of nationalities, not keep people out of the group, but bring people in the group so that they can understand Hispanic home ownership. That's what it sounds like.
Exactly.
Because the end goal is to create more actual, legitimate ownership in the country. Because of all the crazy things that are going on in the world in general, which there are a lot. Right. This sounds like a really great solution to that.
Right. So we can,
just from someone that knows nothing.
So we can have yes, the primary mission is focusing on the Hispanic community, but I would say the secondary or third mission is that we're looking to have inclusivity as well and
What
promote
is
that.
was it because before that, like before 2000, like the inception of it, that there just isn't?
There was no association that really represented the Hispanic realtor the way that this organization does. It just didn't exist. Meanwhile, you have other trade associations that represent their respective trades or even their own respective ethnic groups, which have existed before. And that's okay.
So this came into existence, and yet it opened it up so that still anyone can join.
Correct.
So overall, it has an open culture.
It's an open culture.
Okay, so how often are there events, or at least what's the strategy in your camp to add as much value?
We have a couple of events lined up for this year.
Okay.
And the typical model is that we have about one event every quarter.
Okay.
And they are educational along with networking in one event.
So it's not just network. Like people have a lot of events where people just get together and hang out.
Right. No. We're looking to provide value first and then hang out if you'd like and network second. So work and then play.
Because there's an upcoming event, and you were saying that it's teaching social media and other components?
Correct.
What's a little bit about that?
Correct. So that's coming up in April.
Yeah.
It'll coming up later on this in a few months, really, shortly.
Yeah.
And it'll be dominating, the name of the event is Dominating the Social Media Market. So what we're doing is bringing in some experts, respectively, in social media, have done very, very well. And these are practitioners, meaning these aren't just folks that came from some university and just teaching a curriculum. No, these are real estate producers who are closing transactions because of their social media marketing.
Well, like the gentleman today that I interviewed who said half of his business, 50 million or something, came from social media.
There you go.
And another gentleman, it was 30 listings he got from his personal Facebook.
There you go.
It's like there's people out there really doing it.
Exactly.
And there's so many that just don't even know it exists.
And the majority don't. And that's what we have to change that
If only
paradigm.
you were doing videos to promote this.
Right, exactly.
If only you led by example.
Right, if I led by example.
It's only if that.
Who would have thought?
So, the financial service business in general, if we were to break that into like hubs, what do people have to understand? Like, it's such a broad, if you could break that, there's many categories, but if you could break it down into like two big legs of it, is that possible?
Yeah, you know what? I'll put it in this way, and it's very easy because we just
simplify it for me.
We just came out of football season.
Yeah.
Right? And we just watched a Super Bowl that most people were maybe or may not happy about.
Don't say your team, man. No,
but here's what I'll say. Is that football comes down to...
We are in Philly, by the way.
I know we're in Philly, yeah.
Like
so
the Eagles.
The Eagles are number one. That's all I
There
gotta
was
say.
a celebration. There was a celebration in Philly by City Hall because of last year. Like the culture is aligned.
Oh,
I love
huge.
it.
Yeah, it's huge.
So yes. Anyway, there's the little disclaimer.
So football has two parts to it in terms on the field. Two strategies.
Yeah.
Offense.
Yeah.
And then what?
Defense.
That's it. So financial services can really get broken down into those two parts.
Like the thought process.
Yeah. What's this product for? This is more of an offensive product. What's this product for? It's more of a defensive product. And how much defense do we need and how much offense do we need? Well, it depends on what your end result is trying to do.
Well, thanks for simplifying everything in 30 seconds. Wow. So, okay. Right now, you're with your business. Is it, people may not know, is it limited to like location? People have to be, like, because you live physically in North Jersey.
Right.
However, you have clients all over the country.
I do. I
like,
just recently got a client from Kansas City, Missouri. So my business, thankfully, is not the typical brick and mortar business, which in the past, and ironically enough, in the past, not many, but one or two people that I'll never forget have told me, you know, Darwin, it's not a real business what you're doing. I said, where's your location? I said, well, I am the location. They're like, no. I mean, it's not like you actually have like a business. And they will actually literally point to a building. I said, I understand, you're right. I don't have a brick and mortar business where I'm standing behind a counter and I'm waiting for you to come in.
Didn't Amazon just get a store? Like,
right?
Hold on.
See, but back then, when it first started, it was, 10 years ago, it's like, well, no, it was supposed to be, people thought brick and mortar is how you really own a business. You have to have a physical location, sign a lease for 5 years, and then now you actually have a business. which wasn't the case now. And even further today, it shows you that major companies like Amazon, who didn't have anything, any stores, are the biggest retailer in the world. Lyft and Uber, who don't own cars, are the biggest car service in the country, in the world, right? Yeah. So what does that tell you? What did I tell you? That there was a limited vision of what business looked like back then. And so now the vision is much larger, where you can do business anywhere. Now, compliantly, yes, you have to be licensed in certain respective states to do business in, and I make sure I follow that. But I'm not limited in terms of where I can do business, just a matter of who I can find.
And then in your process of qualifying individuals to figure out if you guys even align to work with each other in the long term, you figure out, hey, am I compliant here? Am I compliant there? Sure. Can I do all of that?
Sure.
What do you say is, like, let's say someone's watching this, and based on who they are, like, let's say 2 of their character traits that you believe would align most with your character traits. If you say, from 1 to 10, 1 being it would never work out as a client because we're not going to mesh. I know about 9 million people that would mesh with me just because the clarity of that. Or 10 and a 10. It's like, wow, we really do good together. What do you think 2 character traits would be?
Well, number 1, I would say for a client, there has to be a need, right? Obviously the basic one. But the second one also that I think is important is they need to be coachable.
So open?
Coachable, open to being coached on putting together a plan, right? So if they say, I want to get this result, and I say, well, okay, by the way, I understand what you're looking to achieve because we have other clients that are looking to achieve the same thing you are. This is the strategy we have to go through. And they say, well, no, give me something else. Or they say, no, I heard that this works. Well, then that means they're not coachable. Like they want to tell.
Like there's a pre-plan
right.
already.
It's almost like you come to my restaurant and you're going to come to my kitchen and tell me how I'm going to cook the meal. It's like, no, I'm the chef here. Right? Let me do my job. Like you're going to go to the doctor's office and go, look, doc, I'm not feeling well, so just do me a favor. Just give me the prescription. Give me the pad. I know exactly what I need. No. The doc's like, wait a minute. Sit down. Tell me what you're feeling. What's going on. They'll do a diagnosis, then a prognosis, and the prescription. Right?
So is that your process?
That is my process.
Sit down, like break that down.
I sit down with the client, almost like we're sitting right now, and have a conversation about what they're currently doing, or what they've done, or what their experience has been with an advisor. And then I think the most important question that I have ever asked somebody is, what keeps you up at night?
Darwin, what keeps you up at night? Dude,
these CM videos that keep me up at night.
I feel like, that's a good answer. Yeah. That's profound. So, because almost like after learning about anyone that I would interview, I know if I genuinely wouldn't like them anymore.
Right.
Now, luckily, I always take the high road. I love everyone.
Here you go.
See?
Yeah.
And we have, had a strong relationship right away.
Absolutely.
Do you think that it's the fact that we were both involved so heavily in the fitness industry? I don't know. I feel like that. Struggling with my weight growing up, because I did personally, like I really had body morphic thoughts. Getting in the fitness industry and attempting to just make up for it and externally, just helped me develop an open or more open mindset in the future. Can you relate to that at all, or I'm just the weird guy in the gym trying to do 50s with one arm and 40s with the other?
No, I mean I was a kid at 14 or 15 years old, out of my friends really, that was looking at Flex magazine. Remember Flex?
Yeah. Oh, like Flex Wheeler?
Like the actual magazine, Flex magazine. It was the bodybuilding magazine back in the mid '90s, and I was one of my 5 friends, I was the only one that lived on the block that would actually go to the corner store and go off the magazine rack and actually look for the next month's edition of Flex magazine and pick it up and look at it and say and admire these guys that are just so gigantic and so big, because in my mind also, I guess I had a certain opinion of the way I looked. I was thinner and I was short.
Really?
So as a I think there's two
That's
parts.
powerful. There's like the opposite of the point.
Sure, because also I know that it's important that we talk about in this country about body image and image in general of yourself, because I know recently women empowerment has brought that more to the light with regards to self-image, which is important, right?
I think men we're messed up, man.
We as men, we also go through that, but it's taboo to speak about because it's not manly to get to admit that you don't like the way you look.
Yeah, well, if I liked the way I looked, I definitely wouldn't be here, because I would have never done anything. I probably would have just became a contender. I'm kidding. No, but it all started with needing to be approval that I was worthy.
Right. So
Period. I ate so many. I remember the only thing that got me through doing homework in 6th grade was eating bags of chips, like getting that dopamine, and I had great grades. And then I started exercising with those little dumbbells in 7th grade and worrying about what other people thought, and spent all my time and just didn't do homework anymore, and then just never got good grades ever again.
Right.
It was like, but the fitness did build this discipline, I think.
Mm-hmm. It did, because it actually started teaching you about a goal. And say if you want
Did
to
you
look
work
like
out
this.
at 14?
At 14, I started to. I would say started to at a 14-year-old level. Push-ups.
Yeah. What did that look like? What if someone's watching it that's a young teenager, or is a parent of a young kid that may go through this right now? Like, what? I guess the kids first. What do children need to know of how to work out at a young age? Like, what did you do? I had like little 5-pound dumbbells.
Yeah, I mean, I think also there's a lot. Most towns or most cities have some kind of gym somewhere. Have your 14-year-old join a gym, because if anything,
What about shrinking their body? Like, what is that? What's the science behind that? You're 10 years in the fitness industry.
Right.
People are afraid for their kids to work out. It's going to shrink their height.
Their growth.
Yeah, is that true?
It's not true. It's not true. I would say you need to understand that there's certain ways that a 14-year-old will have to train compared to a 20-year-old, for sure.
Yeah.
There's some safety we have to get involved. But a 14-year-old learning how to use machines, learning how to use some simple techniques in the gym, using dumbbells and free weights, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're using the right form. If anything, that's what trainers come in. I remember when I was a trainer, I had 14 to 15-year-old clients because their parents want to make sure that they were being supervised, and I was giving them the right way to work out. And by the way, it wasn't always lifting weights. It was maybe using medicine balls or resistant bands, or I was making them do push-ups or some kind of other type of training where it was more applicable to them, because maybe they were in sports. They're maybe playing soccer or were wrestlers, right? I mean, hell, my brother was a wrestler in high school. And if you ever saw what those 14, 15-year-old wrestling kids do, that, for some reason, that's okay. You ever seen them cut weight? Yeah. That's dangerous. I love them, by the way.
But I didn't make it past the locker room. I was just a weird guy.
But so it goes to show you that that's an extreme version of fitness when it comes to preparing for a wrestling program in high school. So if that can be done, then believe me, working out in the gym is definitely can be done.
Now, you were certified trader. You invested in your education that many years. Same thing, of course, in the financial industry. There's so much compliance that goes on, like education. You went to school for business. Have you always been a curious person and interested in learning and developing?
I believe I became more involved in learning as an adult, not much more as a teenager.
A moment in time, like luckily I was in a car accident at one point, which helped me humble myself a little bit. Was there any moment in particular where it was like, wow, I got to get educated? Like, it's like sometimes we need trauma, I guess, or this fall.
Mm-hmm. I think it was actually when I decided to transition from the fitness industry into the financial services side.
Was it like you're gobsmacked?
Because I said, wow, I know nothing about what I'm about to get into. I was confident for sure in myself and saying, hey, I know how to speak to people, build rapport, get a client. I said, I know that part. I said, but this other part was a whole other world. It was very intimidating. And so then that intimidation that I felt, it was uneasy. I didn't like that feeling. So I said, okay, I need to educate myself and learn.
What did that look like? How did that look like? What kind of education is that? What do you do to become so understanding of it?
I would say that, well, the baseline process is to go through the proper licensing. That's one. But the second one was the mentorship. So whenever you go out and meet with a client, you didn't go out alone. You brought an experienced senior advisor with you so you can do some OJT, some on-the-job training.
Now, that's probably not free in a sense. I mean, they're expecting something.
They're expecting something, sure. You're sharing your revenue.
So you didn't.
Which I do, by the way, with younger advisors. They'll bring me out on their case.
You become the mentor.
And we do joint casework, we'll call it. And I become the mentor. Now, and then at that point, I also learned that half of something is better than 100% of zero. So half of something is better than 100% of zero, meaning I in my time, even now in my stage in career, I may come across a potential client that I feel may be just a little bit above my pay grade. Maybe that client needs to see a person with a little bit more gray hair than me. Psychologically, it's the way it works. So I bring on another advisor that could help me get to the point where I could get this person as a client. And I understand that I would rather leverage some other talent so I can profit from it versus trying to go on my own. Yeah, I may learn, but it's going to be an expensive lesson for me.
And then they lose.
They lose.
So what's powerful about that to me is, if you can serve them, but there's a limiting belief in their eyes that stops you from doing so like that, well, then you could just be selfish and then just not bring someone in and lose, and then they lose. But investing in the other person to come in, just knowing that that person just ain't going to believe you and be willing to do that, that's interesting to me.
Sure.
It's just such a different paradigm.
Right, because you're bringing a third party, and that third party, if I'm doing my job and edifying this other person and saying, look, Mr. Johnson or Mrs. Johnson, this person I bring to the table has decades of experience, way more than me, is an absolute authority on this topic, and very busy person, but I know for me, they would absolutely put time for you. Let me bring them in with me. And then all of a sudden, when they come and they meet this person, they already have this expectation. I just let them go and do their thing. And as I say in the business in the past, what I learned before, at that point, it's very simple. It's like church. I do the ushering, this other person does the preaching, and then we'll split the offering.
That's good. And then everyone's help.
And everybody gets to hear the gospel.
I love that.
Right?
That's powerful. So 2019, what is the big thing for 2019? You have events going on. You're extremely involved in social media, putting yourself out there. Mm-hmm. What's the big thing? The big thing is having more social media, because this is my first year where really I've been more involved with people like yourself. And again, thank you for having me on this. This is blast.
This is where my next level is. This visibility, because when people ask me about before you ask me, why would you ever want to be president of a chapter? It takes so much work. And it's because there's a formula that goes behind it. This formula I've heard from another organization called BNI, which is
Ivan Meisner.
So he says,
shout out to him.
Visibility creates credibility that leads to profitability. Right? So visibility creates credibility, leads to profitability. If you want to be more profitable, you got to be more credible. If you want to be more credible, you got to be more visible. So if you are listening to right now, you're involved with an organization and you want more visibility, credibility, profitability, go serve on a board, go volunteer, because that's going to increase your visibility, increase your credibility, and then increase
You're serving first.
You're serving first, because then you become a leader. Servant leadership, right? If service is beneath you, leadership is beyond you. So be a leader by serving, and that's going to help that formula play in your favor. Because
all this leadership you're doing is all on you and all your time involved, right? Your energy.
Right.
And the reward is a return that's intangible.
Exactly.
Which is the visibility, the credibility, and the profitability.
Right, because of the fact that you're building relationships on a higher level. Because of my involvement with NAREP, I'm now having C-level executive conversations with certain companies, which, by the way, 2 years ago was a challenge. I mean, if anything, it was a dream for me to do that. Now, because of my position, people answer the phone. CEOs respond to me because they say, Darwin Roman right now is president of this chapter. He has influence, and I want to meet with somebody who has influence. So people that are watching this can do that with their positive impact on social media. Is that your thought? I would say so, because people have this joke about me. Whenever they see me, they do. Darwin, you are everywhere. And
You were Instagramming me on the way in.
There you go.
And I was like, yes.
Darwin, you're everywhere, right? And a buddy of mine made up a hashtag Darwin everywhere. If you do a hashtag Darwin everywhere, there's a bunch of posts that come up on it, right?
That's pretty cool.
And I said, you know what? I got that one moment of it. Grant Cardone mentioned about being omnipresent.
Yeah, he had
and he said, and I said, I didn't know what that meant until people started saying, Darwin, you look like you're everywhere. I go, oh, that's omnipresence, right? God or higher power is omnipresent there. It's everywhere, right? So I was like, oh, good. I want you to think that I'm everywhere. I was like, by the way, I'm not everywhere. I'm only one person. I can only do so much.
And you drove here today.
I did drive here.
Just like I probably put on 40,000 miles a year on my car.
I did.
Driving everywhere. We've drove 6 hours just to speak in Virginia. That's what it takes.
Yeah, that's what it takes. That's what it takes. So, but being omnipresent, being everywhere, that means that you're the first person on their mind. Because I said, great. I told one person yesterday, I said, you know what, you're right, I am everywhere because I wanted the people to know.
Where are you going after this?
Going to Brooklyn.
And we're in Philly.
We're in Philly right now. And later on today, I'll be in the car and driving right to Brooklyn to go to an event, networking event. To meet
what are you
people
listening to in the car on the way there?
Well, I'm going to be listening to probably actually a podcast. I'm going to listen to Andy Frisella, the MF CEO Project. Love Andy Frisella. He's the man. I'll listen to him. And then, by the way, I'm going to listen to some music too.
What music would that be?
Oh, that might be like local hip-hop station or maybe the local Latin music station.
Okay.
Mix it a little bit, get my mind kind of party mode and get excited. I think it reduces stress too.
And then you physically...
North Jersey.
So then you're going to go from Brooklyn back to North Jersey. And this is just the Thursday.
That's just one day.
Thirsty Thursday.
Tomorrow I'll be
some water.
Yeah, tomorrow I'll be in the Bronx for lunch.
Okay, where does your energy come from, and do you still work out?
I still work out. Especially now because summer's coming. I get prepared more in the morning, so I try to do some early morning cardio.
Yeah, we're still
doing that. Yeah.
No.
But then, for example, today I did some cardio early this morning. I won't get to the gym today, how I would like to, but tomorrow, for sure, tomorrow night or tomorrow late afternoon, I'm going to get to the gym. And then
even on a Friday.
Even on a Friday. And on a Saturday in the morning, knock it out too. And maybe even on a Sunday, it depends. Because I'm trying to maintain my discipline of at least having 4 to 5 days a week. Right? If we can keep that, you're gonna be in shape.
So even from fitness to finance, still fit.
Right. And even, for example, on the way here, I was running a little bit behind, kind of getting the road, because it's obviously a drive. And I stopped at a 7-Eleven, and I grabbed myself a cup of coffee. I grabbed a banana, and I grabbed some protein. Actually, it was delicious. They were protein almonds, from the company On Protein, and they were covered with chocolate. So I had a banana and a whole bunch of almonds on the way down here. Now on the way and then we already had lunch, so I'm good there. And when I go back to Brooklyn, I'll probably look for some. So we ate healthy today, by the way. I'm so happy we made it.
We had a chicken salad.
Yeah.
They're going to be calling us 8-figure 8-packs.
Right, exactly. But look what I did today. It was a matter of choices. Now, we were at a bar, and believe me,
we went to a bar
I
restaurant.
was salivating for a beer, but I said, no, we got to eat clean. And he said, no, we're not going to have a salad. I was looking at the burger side of it. You said salad. I go, you know what? Shoot, I'm not going to be the guy buying the burger. You're eating salad. No, I'm eating salad too.
Well, that's accountability right there.
That's accountability right
there. Think about, it's common culture in business. People I meet in real estate, in and around real estate, they feel the pressure of maybe having a drink over a business meeting.
Sure.
And then one gentleman in particular who's is a massive producer, he was saying, it came to the point where it was like every other meeting, and it's like, well, he started gaining weight, and it's like, it's almost as if that's an epidemic in a sense, in its own little right. The different pressures that we face. How do you overcome those?
Those are with the people that you're surrounding yourself with, and you even share it with somebody, right? Like you should share your goals with as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Just because if the person really cares about you, they're going to follow up.
Yeah.
They may not be. And by the way, I've had people ask me, "Hey, how's that goal going? How's that goal going? You told me you wanted to have a certain number of clients, and I had a moment of shame, like." I didn't get to it. I just didn't. And they're like, well, what happened? And they're not even doing it in a mean way. They're just curious because they care. And just that alone lights a fire inside you. You're like, oh, God,
what's something
I
interesting?
want to avoid that conversation again.
I've done in the past, because I haven't drank in years. I'll say to someone, maybe I don't know them extremely well, but it's very important to have people that align with your values in your life. I say, I haven't had a drink in a long years. I think I'm gonna have it right now, like the first one.
Yeah.
And they'll say, not on my watch, then I know they're good.
Yeah.
If they go, yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
That's it. I'll never talk to them again.
Right.
It's psychological.
Exactly.
Culture matters.
It does matter. That culture does matter. And that's the important part. So finding somebody that you say, hey, look, I'm going out tonight. We're going to see you at this networking event as well. If you're trying to stay sober tonight, so am I. Let's watch each other. Let's watch each other, help each other out here.
Have those. It was Christine Beckwith, author of Wise Eyes. She previously, before her company 2020 Visions for Success, she was the president of sales for Annie Mac Home Mortgage, and she talks about in this book. It really impacted me. Anchors, having psychological anchors. So in one of the chapters, it was how she believed she was overweight, and she put it on Facebook, her current picture, and she wasn't happy with it, and said, I'm going to lose it. So now it's on Facebook in front of thousands of people.
Declared it.
And it was extremely declarative, and it wasn't a picture that she would want to show based on what I read. Like, it wasn't. And I didn't know her when she had done this, so I never saw the picture. And it worked. The anchor. So that accountability partner. How important are accountability partners, or have they been in your life?
Oh, extremely important. Extremely, because again, it's that point where you don't want to give that bad report. So it's almost. I think you're actually, the way I just think about it right now is that everybody has an ego, right? And the ego can either hurt you or help you.
Yeah.
So what that's happening right there is that she put that picture of herself being overweight because, man, that hurt her ego. But that pain to her ego then led to change in a positive direction.
That's a profound way to break that down.
You're using the ego to hurt yourself into action, because the ego's trying to save you from pain, right? So you're like, okay, ego, I'm going to hurt you now, so you can help me get off this pain. So the ego says, oh, that hurt. No. Let's get you losing some weight. That hurt.
Every single one of us has. I talk about all the time. I am insecure. It was Matt Marinoff's event recently, the Real Estate Recovery Group, and we were doing interviews to add value to Matt, who's been a big supporter of Culture Matters for years, and so many people at the event were able to interview and get content on us. Mm-hmm. So I went on at like 5 minutes just to give that, and I said at that event, the first thing I said in that 5 minutes was, I am insecure, and that's the reason why I needed to condition myself to stop talking and start interviewing people, to force myself physically first to take interest in people. So then I can condition myself to be able to shut up and listen. And it's changed my life. So like, I get so much value in this conversation today, for example, because number one, give first, and it feels good to share, and that's what it goes back and forth. Two, helps me listen and build that, and three, I learn, and four, other people can see, and that's just four off the top of my head. Other people can see and learn and grow, and it just, that's why I appreciate you. And today, of course, like this conversation was awesome. I mean, we can go for another 8 hours. My final question: You're about to enroll in the Marines. Mm-hmm. In that moment where, I don't know what you're thinking. Mm-hmm. However, you take a time capsule, everything you've learned in your life up to this day, and you have 2 minutes to talk to yourself. What do you say?
I say, keep the commitment. Be more of a leader, because you can be. Be more of a leader because you can be.
You're a man, brother.